Guys, welcome to the live stream. Let's see what's going on in the markets. It's going live a little bit earlier than normal, but I do want to see what's going on here in the markets because right now Bitcoin is really trying to hold support at $90,000. Let me do a sound check really quickly. It looks like the sound is working, so let's. I still do. Hold on a second. Okay, so I need to get the Fear and Greed Index pulled up here, and we're going to wait for a few more people to join. We're live on TikTok and YouTube in both places. So right now, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index is sitting at 23 in extreme fear. The other thing I want to pull up is Bookmap. I don't think I have that pulled up right now. And if you guys are new, Bookmap basically shows you where all of the liquidity is at on Bitcoin. So right now, why does it do this sometimes? So right now, Bitcoin, again, with it sitting around actually, I also need to go live on TikTok. Let's just see if this one working. That one does not want to work. So that's interesting. I guess this doesn't want to work today. Hold on. Maybe we got it now. Okay, I think we got it. So I'm going to bookmark this one. Bookmark current tab. Bookmap. I don't know why this one stops working. I feel like it does this like every few weeks. I don't know why. Okay, so right now, Bookmap. Let's see what's going on here on Bookmap, and I'm going to get going here on TikTok as well. So bear with me while I get that set up here. If you guys are new, I appreciate you guys hit the like or follow button. It does help support the channel. Yeah, let me stop. Okay, so right now, Bookmap has more liquidity to the downside at $88,000. That's the unfortunate news. It is the situation. Thank you for the likes on YouTube, by the way. And then you still have a lot of liquidity up here at 94,000. So we'll see. I would say you have as much down here at 88,000 as you do at 94,000. And that's on the daily time frame. If you switch to the left and see the weekly, you have more to the downside around $82,000 to $80,000, and to the upside very little at 110. So to me, the weekly suggests that we do get a move to the downside. That's the unfortunate news. I would love Bitcoin to get to about $95,000 because I do have a big sell up there, but I don't know if I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm still under the impression, without looking at the charts, but usually you get at least like a 20% bounce, at least some kind of dead cat bounce more than what we've had. So I still think it's most likely we go to 100,000 before we really roll over, make a new low. Because I still think we're gonna make a lower low, but I think we make a lower high first. Like I think we go up to about 100,000 and then roll over and go down to about 75 to 80,000 to make a slightly lower low. That's my prediction, but anything's possible. So we'll see what happens. Let's go over and look at Bitcoin and kind of see what's going on over on Bitcoin, because right now Bitcoin is in a bear flag. I made a very quick TikTok video about this about 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. And I'm going to make another update here after this live stream. But I do see Bitcoin kind of short term continuing to the downside. 1 hour time frame is struggling to get the bounce on the stock RSI. And it looks most likely that this is going to roll over here. I don't need that alert set up anymore. But it looks most likely that this is going to roll over, and your measure move would be about $86,700. That looks like the most likely situation. You're below the 200-day moving average, which is this thin yellow line here, and it just looks most likely that you are going to roll over here. And so you're below the 200-day moving average. You're in a bear flag. That's two bearish things. And on top of that, you're right below resistance right now, which is coming in, I would say, around 90,300. So if you do not crack 90,300, or I would even say the 1 hour 200 at 90,700, 90,800, we'll call it 90,800. If we cannot break $90,800, I see no reason why this is going to not continue to the downside. And if we jump to the 4 hour time frame, we can see the 4 hour time frame is very oversold, but even the 4 hour time frame kind of making a bear flag. The saving grace could be the fact that on the 4 hour time frame, you are not overbought. So maybe when the weekend's over, more liquidity comes into the market. Maybe you get that dead cat bounce, gets you back to the 4 hour 200. But you've been testing that 4 hour 200 now ever since Tuesday of last week, so going on 5 days now, and you failed at I would say you failed it like 3 times. And some of these times were for like a whole day. You know, these are 3-4 hour candles. So I'm sorry, that's 12 hours. You couldn't get above it. It looks most likely to me that Bitcoin is going to roll over. And your next support I see to the downside is 88.2. So that's the first target. And then you have that larger target at $86,200. So sometime next week, if we see $86,200, that looks most likely to me. I think it's most likely that Bitcoin sees 86 to 87K before you get a move above 91K. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. I'd love to be wrong, but I see more downside here on Bitcoin. And again, it's the weekend, so just be cautious. I would actually not trade Bitcoin on weekends. I'm not trading Bitcoin anymore on weekends. It's just I lose money whenever I do it. Trade altcoins on weekends, I don't think that's a problem, as long as you have some mindset. Altcoins trading is riskier, but there's more liquidity in some coins than others during the market. You just have to kind of play it out. But for whatever reason, it seems like Bitcoin's just choppy on weekends, and I struggle to make money. So on weekends with Bitcoin. So that's kind of my update. I see more downside for Bitcoin unless you get above $90,800. Thank you for the like on TikTok. I'll take it. Appreciate the great analysis. So anyways, that's my update on Bitcoin. I see more downside for Bitcoin. Going over to Internet Protocol. I think I've talked about this here in the last few days. I know I've made a YouTube video about it, but I'm still short on Internet Protocol. I got into the trade right here. You got that pump up to about 377, but I'm keeping my stop loss above the 1 hour, 200-day smooth moving average, which is this line right here. So
these are 20 of the sliding fails.
So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I see more downside on Internet Protocol. My stop loss right now, I think, is about $3.60 on different exchanges. Moving averages in another place. So I'm trading this on Kraken. I think my stop loss right now is at like 355 or something, 360. Either way, I see more downside, and this is like another bear flag on the 1 hour time frame for Internet Protocol. This is not financial advice, but if you were to hop into a short here, a stop loss really, I would say above 3.34. I think it's pretty likely that you'd make money. That's a bear flag, and we'll see what happens. Especially if Bitcoin can't get above $90,800, this is pretty likely to play out. So I'm just trying to give you like a conservative measure move here, but the next target I see to the downside would be about $3.08. Maybe, yeah, about 307, 308 is really my measure move for Internet Protocol for a move to the downside. 4 hour time frame really struggling to get that bounce, and some of these time frames have been below the 200 now for a while. Like the 4 hour has been below the 200 moving average since the 21st, going on 3 weeks. And so this is the trade. My trade still remains the same. And now your R&R is probably even better, given everything considered. So if I just zoom out right now, your stop loss would be above the 1 hour 200. And now at this point, the R&R, I guess the risk to reward would not be better because you're entering at a lower price. Anyways, when I entered this trade, my R&R was 5.96. So that's kind of, or no, it's 4.79. So I could take this trade 4 times, and as long as I won at least 1 in the 4, I'd make some money, if that makes any sense. So at this point, I see Internet Protocol going further to the downside. You're in a rising wedge on the 1 hour time frame, lower high. You're still well below the 200. I don't see why this can't continue to the downside. Internet Protocol, and I think a lot of altcoins are in a similar position. Like Yearn Finance is another coin that is below the 1 hour 200. It's even below the 4 hour 200, so you could just short that the second you lost the 4 hour 200 if you want to do it on a higher time frame. You could have shorted 47.50, and so far, you'd be in the money, and your stop loss could be 4,100. You'd be in the money quite a bit. Zcash is not one of those coins. Zcash is now oversold on the 4 hour. It's below the 200, but I see Zcash probably continuing to the upside here because the moving averages on the smaller time frames look pretty good. This is a new coin. It's called Wet Coin. I have not traded this yet. It's below the 50-minute 200. That looks pretty bearish to me. That's like a bear flag. That could continue to the lower for a lower low. I'm not touching Wet right now. Maybe at some point I'll trade it because it does seem decently volatile. It's down 6% today, so if you were short on that, you would have made some decent money. Stops could now be a break even. But anyways, that's a bear flag on the 15-minute time frame for wet protocol, whatever it is. And that will give you a measure move of 15 cents. That's about 20% lower than where we are right now. So I don't know what this is. I know nothing about it except the fact it's volatile and there's good liquidity and it's on a decent amount of exchanges. I would say you do have support at 17.8, but if you lose that, I would be looking for 14.92 or 15 to really be the next stop. So that's kind of my update on that. If you guys have requests for other altcoins, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll look at them. I appreciate if you guys hit the likes. It does help support the channel. But that's my quick update on the markets. It does look bearish to me. I see more downside. Jelly is another coin that was kind of hot, kind of like Zcash, at least recently. At this point, it's kind of just meandering around, and it still looks pretty good, though, all things considered. I wouldn't touch this. It's kind of wacky price action to say the absolute least. It went all the way up the other day to 10.7 cents. Then the same day, an hour later, it dropped 50% in minutes. Like, I'm not touching Jelly right now. At some point, I probably will because it's volatile. So if I did trade this, though, it'd be low amounts of money. But the second you cracked the 1 hour 200, you were off. You could have longed that at basically at 4 cents, and your stop loss right now could be at 5.4, and it went all the way up to 10 point, almost 11 cents. So it did like a 3x after it broke the 1 hour 200. That's crazy. Tesla's still doing great. But if you guys have requests for alts, let me know. But beyond that, those are kind of major altcoins that I wanted to go over. I think Jasmy is another coin that's probably done all right. Yeah, actually, it's really not. That's pretty bearish on Jasmy. Yeah, I see Jasmy continuing lower. Like you're below resistance right now. If you stay below 7.3, I see a move coming down to 4. And also, I've said this many times. Whenever you have a scam wick like that, usually you end up filling it, especially in a bear market, which is what I believe we're in. And if you guys don't see this, I see this as a left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and that would be a very bearish sign. That's a head and shoulders pattern. And I would be surprised if we do not hit 4 cents on Jasmy. That's not a horrible short right now. Keep your stop loss above the 1 hour 200, or even above the 1 hour 200 day smooth moving average. Because ever since about 15 cents, 1.5 cents, you have not broken that level. I did not mean to do that. So ever since September 18th, you could have been in a nice short on Jasmy if you had the patience. I mean, that's a crazy good short. You would have shorted that down so far over 50%, 60% almost. And for a altcoin that has quite a high market cap, that's pretty good. October, November, it'd be a 3-month trade though. So if you want to be in that trade for 3 months on the 4-hour time frame, I don't know. Either way though, Jasmy looks like it's going to eventually hit 4 cents. I just see that being the most likely scenario. So if that happens, not 4 cents, technically it's 0.4 of a penny. But if that happens, I want to be alerted. I want to know if I was right or not about that target. That's my target for Jasmy. And again, if you wanted to open up a swing trade on Jasmy, stop loss on the 4-hour time frame above 8, 9, or even the 1 hour time. Yeah, the 1 hour wouldn't work really. I would do the 4-hour. If your stop loss is anywhere above 0.00894, and take profits down here at 0.004. I think you could make some good money on this. It could take another 3 months to happen. But that's a clear head and shoulders pattern to me, and that would suggest that you are going to go lower. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate them. So that's my update, guys. I'll be back live Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Time. If I have to tweak that at all, I will let you guys know. As of right now, I don't see that being a problem with my current schedule for work. But let me just confirm this really quickly. So Tuesday, I don't believe that'll be a problem. My next time I'll be live will be 9 p.m. Central Time on Tuesday. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I'm not wrapping it up just yet, but that's kind of my next time I'll be live. If you guys want to join the free Telegram, link to join is in my bio on TikTok and my description on YouTube. That is where I notify you when I'm going live all the time. Plus, you can ask questions in there, I guess, if you want, but that's not the trading group. That's separate. So anyways, Bitcoin right now on the smaller time frames breaking to the downside. Looks like you're probably going to fail this wick and lose 89.7, and then eventually 88.253 is really your next support. 88.2 really, whatever. So that's what I see going on for Bitcoin over the course of the rest of tonight. I see more downside to a minimum high 80K range. High 88K range, I should say. Maybe not tonight, but sometime this weekend looks probable. So that's just what I see going on. And with that being said, we can go look at XRP. I would definitely have Jasmine on your watch list if you want to look for a swing trade. Jasmine to me looks like the most likely option for a swing trade to the upside. I'm gonna write that down actually, Jasmine short, because to me it looks probable. Okay, let's go look at XRP. XRP below the 4-hour 200, and if you just shorted this, when you lost a 200-day smooth moving average back on the 9th of October, you've been in this trade a month and a half, but you would have shorted $2.90, and you'd still be in the trade with a crazy wick down to $1.77. I would think it's probable and likely, we're not even that far away from that level, that we do feel that gap down there. And I would say that's probably where XRP is headed right now for a double bottom or slightly lower low. But that's really 10th of October. So for the last month you've held that level, it looks like you're getting closer and closer to retargeting that level. So XRP below the 200. I would be looking for about $1.77 as my next target to the downside, especially if you cannot get back above $2.20. So if you don't, and the 4-hour time frame just made a lower high on the stock RSI, that's bad. I would be looking for, if you don't get reclaimed $2.2 dollars, I'd be looking for $1.77 to be the next support on Jasmine on XRP with that crazy wick to the downside. So, but I think the most likely short and the most safest short right now, if you want to look for a swing short, would be on Jasmine on the 4-hour time frame, with the stop above the 4-hour 200-day smooth moving average. That is actually probably something I'm going to actually nibble on at some point in the next 7 days. So, anyways, guys, that's my update. I hope you guys have a great night, and I will see you guys in the next one, Tuesday, 9 p.m. Central Time. Until then, trade safe and have a great night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye. Have a great rest of your Saturday. The trend is your friend till the end. A lot of these coins right now below the 200. The trend is to the downside on a lot of these altcoins. It is what it is. I would be short on a lot of coins. So that's kind of how I see it. I just see more downside. That's all I got. See you guys in the next one. Adios. Thank you for the likes, by the way. Okay, wrapping it up.